Today, I'm showing you 4 lovable AI-powered apps that I've built and use daily to streamline our sales process. These are also solutions that I've used to deliver 5 times more value to clients for only a fraction of the work, which will make you stand out as an agency owner. I'll demo each app and briefly explain how they work so that by the end you can access the templates that I give you and build similar solutions that impress your clients, save time, and even boost your income. So let's dive in. Cool. So this one here is a sales app that lets you practice different types of calls with AI prospects. So you pretty much put in the information that you want or the type of person that you want to call, and then in real time that kind of persona is built using AI. And this lets you role play without having a sales manager in the loop to actually do this very repetitive and boring task. So if you have a personal kind of training app, this is kind of the problem that it solves, which both save time for the sales manager, especially for larger teams when they have to do it individually with each person, and also improves the salesperson themselves because they get to do this practice. So I'm just filming my webcam because I'm going to be testing out with my phone number in a second, but as you can see, the layout and everything is just the same on my computer here. So if I sign in, this is kind of the UI that you get. Obviously on your phone it looks a little bit better because it's a mobile app, but essentially you start off with this kind of script hub here, this library, where you can add the scripts that you're going to be using. I'll explain why that is in a second, but pretty much you're going to send this over to the AI at one point and you can upload the scripts here. So nice and simple. And then you have the different kind of practice calls that you're allowed to make. So first of all, you need to select the script. In my case, I only have one, which I'm pretty sure this is the one that we used to use way back when we used to make cold calls. And then I can do all these sorts of different options, right? So I can do a cold call, an objection handling call, and a lead follow-up. Whichever one I choose will dictate and determine the type of call or the way that the AI answers. So obviously if I make a cold call, the AI will say who are you, and it'll be a lot more on guard, as opposed to me doing a lead follow-up call, which can be from following up from an ad or something like that. I've also got script training here, which is something that I wanted to add, but unfortunately I didn't have time to integrate it with this whole app, which was pretty much you training your actual script with the AI so you can practice the script adherence. And then once you're done with the calls, you get a statistics hub. You can see that on a weekly thing. This is my actual account. I've got all these stats. So obviously I haven't used it this week, but then you have the statistics hub with a few more features that I'll get into in a second. But that's pretty much it. So let's say I go lead follow-up, and then you get to choose the profile of the person that you want to call. Right, so let's say I want to you got dominant, influencer, steadiness, and consciousness. These are all the disc profiles of people who you can call. You can also click random, so I'll just click random, and then let's say this person's in their 40s, or in this case everything will be randomized, so I guess that doesn't really matter. And then you have this screen here where all of the kind of buttons that I've clicked and all my selections will show up in this pre-call screen, and then it will look tell me, okay, you clicked lead follow-up, you're using this script, and then you've got this profile that you're trying to reach, and then the actual script value is here, right? And then I'll click call and then actually call them. So let me just do that on my phone so you can see what that looks like. So right now the AI is getting built to the persona that I set.
Hello?
Hi there, is this John?
Yes, this is John. What can I do for you?
Hey John, it's just Kai here. Kai from Burhausen AI. Do you have a minute?
Sure, Kai. I've got a minute. What's this about?
Hey, so I'm just calling about a response to one of our ads regarding AI automation services. Does that ring a bell?
It does sound vaguely familiar, but I get a lot of ads and emails. Can you remind me what it was about?
Yeah, no worries. I completely understand. So it was just about AI services for businesses struggling with their sales processes. I was wondering, what caused you to reach out to us and reply to that ad in the first place?
Well, I might have been curious about improving efficiency in our sales process, but honestly, I'm not sure if this is something we really need right now.
Okay, completely understand. So, what was the reason that you replied to the ad then, may I ask?
I think it was more about exploring options. We're always looking for ways to streamline things, but I'm not convinced AI is the right fit for us.
Okay, watch this now, ready? Okay, well, I just want to sell my services and, like, please just take my money.
It seems like you're not fully prepared to discuss your services. Feel free to reach out when you're ready to have a productive conversation.
So I added in that feature that I can actually hang up on you. So it's pretty realistic if you don't like handle your actual conversations well. I didn't actually mean to say take my money. I meant to say give me your money. But anyway, you get the idea. So then once that call that I've just made is done, I can actually go to the statistics hub and it's in real time getting analyzed by AI. So it's a different AI agent that judges me and based off the call, and you'll see the updates here in a second. Cool, so now we've just gotten the full results from the call that the AI analyzed, that terrible cold call or lead follow-up, whatever it was. And it's analyzed the call duration, so I get an average call duration. Obviously, I made a test call and then I made the actual call that you saw on my weekly thing. So then we get these sort of details from the AI, and it's saying all these sorts of things like 0% of them were handled, the objections, no conversion rate, no script adherence, because obviously it just went off script, and I'll explain like how I was able to see that in the first place. But anyway, talk to listen ratio, how much I talked versus how much the AI talked, and then my report building score. Everything gets analyzed by a separate agent once the call is done. Now, once I've gone into these, I can just go from this part of the statistics, either here into Coach or through this tab here. I can actually consult with a sales assistant who's trained on two things. So first, the static, meaning it's like universal for every user. It's trained on a knowledge base of like just 2 hours of Homozy sales course. So if I'm struggling to understand any like sort of sales concepts or that anything like that, it'll have like that knowledge to back up the answers. And it's trained on the second knowledge base, which is the dynamic data from my call results. So everything that you see in the statistics hub, it gets sent to the AI when I click this attach my call data. So I can literally in real time talk to this sales assistant about the call that I just had. So if I ask, for example, what went wrong, or what is the thing that I need to improve on the most? Since it's not getting my all-time stats, it's only getting from the 2nd of May to the 9th of May, which is this week. It's only going to pull in that sort of information. So objection handling, it's getting 0 out of 200. So 200 is actually probably my total, I would say. And then 0 is just getting the actual absolute result from all my call results. So a bit better tweaking there on the statistics part of things, but everything else is like accurate to the actual 2 calls, so the one test one and then the actual one that you heard. So script adherence score 0, all that sort of stuff, and we can look at these stats depending on the actual like time horizon that I give it. So total calls, the 2 calls that I made over a different period of time, I actually did way more than that. But that's essentially an app that saves so much time, especially when you're a large team that constantly brings new people onto the sales team. So then they need to be trained. And what this actually allows you to do is it doesn't completely automate the sales manager's job, obviously, but the huge chunk of time that is spent, especially on newcomers, individually training them, making sure that they're talking through the script properly and all of that stuff, you can systemize that into an app that, reads data, and that's essentially what we're doing here with AI. Now, in terms of actually building the app itself, I would need to go into a whole nother tutorial about that. So 20 likes in this video and I'll do that. But what this does, whenever you want to build like a multi-user thing, I guess with Lovable, it's all about the back end. And the thing is, if you connect your Supabase account, Lovable does everything for you. So a quick preview of my backend. You know, you got this whole hub here of call results. I just literally tell it to what I want and the variables that I need. Obviously, it was a lot of back and forth. You'd probably need the paid version of Lovable to do something similar. But if I go to this profiles hub, for example, database. Okay, so then if you look closely, what this pretty much is saying is that the call results, the practice calls, these are all tabs that like where you store data from the designated user. The profiles and the scripts. So the scripts that we download are also sent to the AI, the agent that we'll get into in a second. All of these variables are attached and labeled underneath one user ID. And I had no idea how to do this myself with coding. So Lovable just did it for me. I literally did not touch my Supabase account. So anyway, as far as actually making this, you have two variables. So the first one, this is the second one, I'll just get into in a minute. But the first one is this scenario here, right? Where we make a call to a backend, in this case it's make.com. And this make.com scenario receives certain data. Maybe if I get into the actual webhook response, we can see that we're receiving an inbound call from a particular number. By the way, I built all of this on retail. And then what we do is we get some user data from the Supabase. So we pretty much match the user phone number with the phone that is calling to the phone number on the Supabase kind of profile data. And if we say, okay, this exists, then we're gonna get all of that user's requests from the last minute. So that's what all of this means here. Again, I would need to go into a lot more detail in another tutorial, but that's what this is doing here. Since it's a customer request, we need to parse all of the data so we can actually map the results. And then from here we can say, okay, well, what is the actual point of the call, or what is the goal of the call, right? If it's a cold call or any lead follow-up, we're gonna see that from the label of the scenario that the user chose from the last minute of the requests to make a call. And then if it's a cold call, it's going to go through here. If it's a lead follow-up, it's also going to go through there. And then dependent on that, we're going to use these two GPT modules. This first one is responsible for, I think it was setting the disk profile that they chose. So we can also see the data. Okay, there we go. So you're a highly capable expert in disk profiling who has a knack for deeply understanding the key characteristics of each of the profiles. And then it goes on to like very specific and stuff. And then we can pretty much say, set a persona based on this disk profile. And then give us some guardrails to like not be over exaggerated. You know, so if I click a dominant, obviously I'm not gonna get some like asshole on the phone, you know? And then what this one does is it sets a bit of a context to the day that they had. So the AI kind of like lives into it a bit more. And then we set all these variables here that we're going to map directly into the webhook. Don't really need this, just because I wanted it to be more, be able to set everything, like visualize everything better. And then we make an API request to retail, which has these like dynamic variables. And in terms of the backend, that's pretty much it. And then we do the same thing if it's a objection handling, because the scenario was a lot different from objection handling to a cold call or lead follow-up call. Objection handling is pretty much the scenario from the point that the salesperson asks to like sell the other person. So from that point, you literally just start the conversation after the ask, and then your objection handling. So in this case, what the objection handling this route does is, instead of creating, again, it creates a disk profile just like this one, but then it creates a main concern thing. So it pretty much says like, this is your main concern. Your goal is to kind of throw the salesperson off with like smoke screens and that sort of like to maybe try to lead them astray. And then the job of the salesperson in that scenario is to overcome these objections and find what the main one is. So it can be anything from like time to like authority base, or I need to talk to my wife or whatever. And then we're doing the same thing. So we're mapping the results and then making an API call to so this one does the cold call and the lead follow-up coach, which is the difference is only some variables, but this one is a whole different agent because the scenario is just that much different, you know? And then if I were to do that script coach, I would probably also make another trailhead to maybe do something similar. But that's it, right? So let me see if I can actually show you the retail assistant. So yeah, this is an example of one of the agents that I've got. So this is the objection handling coach. You can see that I set some variable data somewhere in here. So all of this here is what gets filled in by make.com, and then we go from there, okay? So once the call is done, we trigger another scenario. So let me just delete that, I'll show you in a second. And it's to send pretty much the data to Relevance AI. And that's what this does. I just didn't want it to do a straight webhook into Relevance AI because it's just so much data and it kind of cost me tokens. So I just figured better in Make. And then we send it to the Salesy call evaluator, which transcribes the script file that I send as metadata in this module here, in this scenario here. And then it also looks at the transcript and says, okay, what is the report building score? And then I can go deep into all of that in a later video because everything's a bit more advanced. But we're gonna move on now. So for this one, I've got a meeting recorder. I've actually made a video on this before, so you can check it out. I'll put it up here. But essentially what this does is a lot simpler to the one that we just went over, but it records your meetings and then sends a summary of those meetings to the desired people. And this is really helpful because for longer meetings, it does two things. You're able to actually tell the AI agent that's going to receive this data what you would like it to be more specific on, or kind of more to focus on to send to these desired people. And it also saves huge time in terms of like admin work for salespeople to go back to meetings, look over them, take notes and whatnot. And this is specifically the case for in-person meetings. So the reason I made this in the first place and that we use it is because we have a lot of in-person meetings here in New Zealand, and it's something that we use a lot. And then you can go to this Claude model, so this Claude agent, and then say specify or look deeper into these tasks or generic things. Anyway, so I log in here, and then now, again, very basic. I'll usually use this on my phone, so this is why the UI isn't quite there. But I can record or upload meetings. Say if I just recorded on voice memos on my iPhone. So I can record meetings. Let's say this is a practice meeting to talk about, revenue shares, ROI, and I want to talk about like the digital marketing book that I'm reading as well. So then I would go into like this sort of sending page here, put in the people involved. I'm just going to send it to my business partner Donica, and then I can click for it to focus more on topics discussed, new tasks, or just generic. So I'll just click topics discussed, and then I can click the option of whether or not I'd like my own copy, and I would, so I'll click that. And right now, the reason we don't get like a success page is because the agent itself is working, and I'll show you in a sec what the workflow to that looks like. If we go over here to my email, we can see that I've emailed Donica just now, a summary of the meeting discussion focusing on the key topics of ROI, revenue shares, return on investment, and the digital marketing book that I was talking about. So for longer meetings, this saves so much time, and we can't be like better examples of it because we just yap for so long, and this helps filter out all that junk and send targeted emails to the people involved, and have that multi-option choice on the app as well. So this here is the NAN workflow that I use. And if we just click on executions, we can see exactly that it made the correct decisions. So it receives everything from the webhook, then it goes to DeepGram. DeepGram, if you don't know, is an AI that from speech to text, so to transcribe, and it's really accurate. And it's essentially free to use the API at this point because they have this $200 credit thing. So anyway, you can go to DeepGram, make an API key. I've got a YouTube video on this, so you can check that one out. You import this whole thing. You make the credentials. This uses a Claude model. Preferably, you'd like to use a Google model as well because they take large chunks of text. And then you integrate the Gmail credentials and then the Google Docs credentials to create a document, and then you update that same document to make your own copy. So let's go back here and then see if it made a copy for me. And you can see there it's made that copy for me in the Google Docs, right? So if you want to check out in detail the API keys and everything, you can check out that video that I put up. And I mean, overall, you're getting the idea, right? There's a very well-built front end, or pretty simple. We're sending data through the UI, and then all we're doing is sending it to a webhook to do designated things with that. And sometimes we can just use that with simple workflows, as you saw in the make example, or sometimes we can even use AI agents to make them powerful as well. So the next one that we're going over is the Proposal Gen app, which you make proposals based off, the requirements for your client. We send it to a make.com backend, and then we generate the proposal from there. So let's just go through this really quickly. Kaiki Rivero. Then we get the business and the solution part, which is one sentence about the company. So we'll say provides IT solutions to large corporations. So the problem is that the sales team, AWS, is not prepared to manually take on and qualify the large demand that they have for inbound leads. Many of them are coming from different channels, so they are often burnt out and unable to close deals, we'll say. And the solution to that is an omni-channel qualifier who is deployed in SMS, inbound calls, so voice agent, website and Instagram to qualify people and book meetings. When will the project be started? We'll say today. Platforms will be NAN, make.com, I don't know, Tremly on here, go high level for CRM. Cool, so I'm not giving it the best practice, like kind of details for the AI to look at, but that's fine. How long would it take? 1 week, very unrealistic. Additional cost, $50 per month. Right, and then if we click generate proposal, we have this result here that sent the proposal to my email. And then as the user, I can click on this link and we'll get the whole proposal kind of ready to go. So this is actually something that I saw other people doing, and I was like, I need to try this out for myself. So I did, and it works so well. I mean, saves so many hours of your day. So let's just go through really quickly. So the following pages outline a scope of work, plan, whatever. So it comes up with the name for the solution, omni-channel lead qualification meeting scheduling system, and solution. Okay, so it goes, the problem is the sales team faces an unscalable volume of inbound leads from multiple channels. Manual qualification creates bottlenecks, leads to burnout, and results in lower close rates. This inefficient process leaves potential revenue untapped. So they've got the name of the solution again, and then the description for the solution is we will implement an omni-channel qualification agent across SMS, inbound calls, yada yada yada. The point is, and it talks about like the tools that I'll use as well, which is awesome. The point is, it takes hours of work. Emails, let's see if it sent to the email. Okay, it didn't actually send the email because it didn't have the email module here. This is the backend here. Again, same idea. We send all of this information to the webhook. We get this response, which we can map into AI here. So this generates the proposals. You put in all your details here. So saying we're an AI automation agency that builds sales process systems using no-code platforms, and gave it all these parameters, and then gave it all of these example solutions. Bear in mind that everything is in JSON so that we can map directly from here. So if I go down to here, we can see that I asked it to map everything in JSON. So everything is going to be an object that we can map. Gave it the actual variables that it's going to work with. So the business description, so what they do, what the problem is, our solution, and the platforms that we're using for that. From that, it generates the proposals. We have another step that generates the milestones. So instead it uses, again, same idea, looks at the different examples that I give it. And in this case, I write the solution, when the start date is, and then the tools that I'm using for that platform. From there, it creates a PandaDoc, and within PandaDoc, you have the option to send them automatically as emails once you make a document. That's the reason I didn't receive one or didn't send one. I had just forgotten that one. And then we send a webhook response, which contains this JSON. This JSON here, we can see that we have a sent to, which is displayed here, my email, and the link of the proposal here. So that saves hours. This is a great tool that we use all the time, so I hope you enjoyed that one as well. As a business as well, when you can actually send your proposals faster to your prospects and clients, you really impress them, right? It sure does with us when we send our proposals. So it makes them all like the more likely to buy from you, because you again lubricate the path to success. So all these different stages where you expect like a frozen, gap or void where people are just doing their own internal work. If the AI can do this for you and speed up your operations faster than they normally would without it, then you impress your prospects, which makes them more likely to close. Now, this last solution actually consists of two different aspects. You have the front end that is built on Lovable, which is, again, you record a voice note, but instead of it being a meeting, you're using the voice note to communicate with the AI agent what you want to update within your CRM. So that's where we get the two visual aspects from. One is from the front end of the Lovable, and the second one is from the CRM within the Airtable that the AI agent is going to update. So very simple. This is probably the simplest of them all. And I'll be honest, we don't actually use this as much, just because I would say this is more for larger sales teams. But it comes in handy whenever we're on the road. Again, if you have your phone with you at any time, instead of having to sit down on a computer and update a particular field or something, you can just literally talk, use the voice note, record, everything gets sent to the AI and it makes these updates for you. So let's check out how it works. So I've got, for example, Kai Rivero, who has 3 kids, and I've got the note here: use this as an icebreaker for the follow-up conversations. And the pipeline status, you can see that it's a follow-up, and the user that followed up with this is me, so Kaiki. You can see the user name here. And if I click, let's say I just had a meeting with this person and they've converted, they're now a client, I can just say the lead that I want to update, so the first name, last name, Kai Rivero, start recording. So this particular lead, we've just had the meeting with them, and they have converted into a client, but they have difficulty understanding the process, so add that to the notes as well. We finish recording and we click upload to CRM, and we get that success message from the AI. It's not really pretty. I kind of need to update this, but again, we don't use it too much. But it says the record for Kai Rivera has been successfully updated with pipeline status, closed, meeting, note successful, all of this from the AI. And if you go into here, we can actually put in all of this. So a client has difficulty understanding the process. The lead notes has been updated, because before we used it for an icebreaker. Now we're using it for the variable of being it closed. So we don't need that icebreaker anymore. You could have these in different fields and whatnot, but you get the idea. And the workflow that we used to do this is another NAN agent, which if you look at this, same idea, webhook, we transcribe it using DeepGram, and then you have the Anthropic chat model, which I quite like using. For this one, since it's not going to be like a long meeting, it makes sense to also have a smarter, better model for like the small decisions that it has to make. And then all that we need to connect here is the update record. If you want to expand on this, the solution within Lovable is a great opportunity to add new clients, add new prospects, add new records to your CRM and whatnot. And the way I would go about this is you could literally connect an MCP server, have a trigger, and then not only could it update the CRM, but it could also schedule meetings and then all that sort of stuff. So again, it's the same idea. You talk into it, and then you have that as a benchmark to make all these sort of solutions here. And all you need to change for that is make the backend. So what you need to do to integrate this, again, everything is in the resource. You import from a file and make sure to have all your credentials ready for that as well. So that's all for the video today. By now you should have an understanding of how these systems work. If you were to import these workflows into your backend, how you'd make the front end, and how you'd also tweak it to your own specific needs, right? So by now you hopefully have that understanding and you can make your own solutions. As mentioned, all the resources are going to be free. If you need any help building some of these same solutions or maybe advanced solutions on top of these more basic workflows, then you can contact me directly using the link in the resource as well. But apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.